Yeah. Bill and I, we're running this show. Digital land, let the blockchain flow. Pod to the cast, we ride the air. NFT dreams like we just don't care. Metaverse wild, like a zombie horde. Earth to terrain, we're never bored. VV collectible stacking high. Bill and I, we touch the sky. Digital world, we rule this space. NFT riches, we're on the chase. Metaverse dreams, a brand new guide. Zombie and Bill side by side. Yeah. Bill lays down wisdom like it's gold. I'm the zombie breaking every mold. Virtual lands where our roots grow deep. Podcasts alive, we never sleep. Podcast kings in the cyber realm. Forward thinking, we at the helm. Digital land, new frontiers we take. Binary zone that we co-create. Digital world, we rule this space. NFT riches.
What's up?
What's good?
Oh, it's very good today.
How
about with you?
Everybody?
I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we see he just popped in backstage too. Do we bring him up? Let's bring him up. Let's just do it.
Just pull him up. All right.
Let's just get it.
Hey guys.
What's
All
up?
right. Hey, what's going on?
Can you hear me?
Hey, I can hear you. Can you hear me or not?
Yes, I sure can.
Okay, cool.
And is it pronounced Larry?
Yeah, it's just Larry. I was born LA, Larry, but I changed it when I was living in Los Angeles for reasons.
It's a little low.
Yeah, volume.
Your volume.
Is that something I do on my end? Like
It sounded like it was coming in and out.
Maybe I swear to take it off the headphone. Hold on, let me try that.
Okay.
Here. Is that working?
Oh yeah, that's much better.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, get that on.
What's going on?
Hey man.
I'm super excited to talk to you.
Yeah. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, dude, same. I
Um,
love the format of you guys' show. So yeah, I've been watching the last X amount.
you've been checking them out. We appreciate that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you for the love.
We try to cover a few different platforms, and it allows us to jump back and forth with different news. It's tough if you just cover one thing,
Yeah.
kind of run out of stuff to talk about. But
Well,
Yeah.
with so many good projects, it's kind of good to like switch it up and get into different things. So
Yeah, it's just the spice of life is variety, right?
yeah, that's right.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I see that you've been in some, or like you've helped create some legendary movies.
Yeah. Mhm.
Your list is quite impressive. Now, what is it that you do with the movies? You're like you do with the artwork with it?
Yeah, basically, I worked at a place called What a Workshop, and they're probably most famously known for Lord of the Rings, but that was just prior to me going there.
Okay.
But basically, what we do is directors come to us, and then we pre-visualize the entire movie so that when it comes time to spend the real money, like on the day,
Mhm.
everybody knows exactly what they're supposed to be producing. So the
Wow.
costume designers, the sets, the lighting, all those people cost a lot of money when you bring a film together. Films now, cost
Yeah.
upward of 80 million to you can go to $500 million. So
Yeah.
so you
Right.
don't want to be spending money on the day when you have that big crew without knowing exactly what you're doing.
Mhm.
And so what I basically did for the last 20 years was kind of like organize all that very visually and then work with the directors to get the exact vision that they were sort of looking for.
Now I saw Hobbit on the list. Did that
Yeah.
you just catch that tail end when you came in?
Well, that was an interesting one because Guillermo del Toro was the original director before Peter Jackson. It was going to be a Guillermo,
Mhm.
and he came over, and it was a really, really fun time. He brought like 4 like world-renowned artists with him, a little entourage of amazing artists that we could learn from. But what ended up happening was that was the 2008 financial crisis, and all the studios got cold feet and wouldn't release the money. And so Guillermo was like, well, I got places to be. Sure, are we going to do this or not? And they were like, we can't release the money just yet. And he's like, okay, I'm out. And then Peter Jackson, basically at that point, he didn't want to direct The Hobbit because honestly, directing Lord of the Rings almost killed him. Those 3 films span the entire. I'm here in New Zealand. That span the entire
filmed a
country.
lot there, right?
He was just going back and forth, and like a chicken with his head cut off, and barely pulled it off, and had heart problems, all this kind of shit. So he didn't want to do The Hobbit, but he had to step in, and so that's how The Hobbit. And I was there for The Hobbit.
Wow,
that's incredible. So I originally got into EON Rift, but first let's ask, what is EON Rift for those that might not know?
EON
How
Rift
did you come into
it? It's essentially, the short version is just a 360-degree IP. So the idea was that the kind of analogy or metaphor, not even metaphor really, but the example that we always use is something like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which came out in the 80s. And basically it started with just a comic, and then from a comic it grew into animation on Saturday morning, and then became movies, and then it became games. It spanned every portion of media that you could throw at it. And so that was sort of what we were thinking of doing here, was kind of creating an IP, but we kind of got into this idea of what would if Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was starting now, and they were going to try to use blockchain and crypto and all the new kind of, I guess, alternate economy type thing, what would they do? And so that's basically what EON Rift is. It's a cyberpunk. It's the kind of idea behind it is, the reason it's called EON Rift is because we also had this idea that we initially wanted to come out the gate doing something cyberpunk, because myself and Chris, the other founder, we always just love cyberpunk. We love Blade Runner's our favorite movie, blah blah blah. And so we but we knew that maybe cyberpunk's a bit of a niche. Not everybody loves it, and probably all things being equal, the world really just runs on fantasy. Like everybody loves Game of Thrones, or everybody loves Lord of the Rings, swords and sandals type stuff. But what we wanted to do was sort of test the waters, like come out the gate in the cyberpunk world. But the idea of the EON Rift is that there's kind of rifts and there's eons, and they can change. And so at some point, once we kind of got our workflow underneath us and got the IP up and running, then we'd have this ability to do, much like Fortnite does, where you kind of change the season, but in our case, it would be changing genres. So, whether all of a sudden it's, it goes to like some kind of fantasy world, or it goes to, vampires versus werewolves, or, God knows what. But that was sort of the idea behind it, was to create the foundation for what you might call a 360-degree IP.
That's amazing. Nice. Yeah, I thought about that. It kind of came to me the other day. I was thinking about EON Rift, and I was like, wouldn't it be cool if there was a zombie Rifter or a zombie overlay? Because I was thinking of this guy.
Yeah,
right?
I've done the concept for that. That was what I wanted to go to next, was kind of a zombie world. Just because I love that genre. I always have. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
It's just I played the hell out of DayZ. And then just every other kind of zombie thing came along, the good and bad games. I was there for kind of all of them. But I actually did some concept art of what it would kind of like look like when like you go into this new Eon and all your gear kind of like is ripped and shredded, and now it's a new world.
Yeah. Why don't we pull up Adrodero's? He says I've got 2 Rifters because Bill convinced me to.
Lucky.
We appreciate you, Aldrodera. Yeah, I made a new move today, and I didn't want to announce it to anybody until you came on the show. But
okay, what was that?
I purchased some more Rifters, and
you're addicted, man.
I now have 300.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah, 259 wasn't enough for me because I was only
exactly. You gotta get those
10
numbers,
away.
right?
Yeah, I was 10 away from Boris, and that's just too close for comfort. So I stepped up my game.
Congratulations.
300 is such a better number.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Any kind of like even number just gives you
Yeah,
that thing. So
it's more rounded.
that's cool though. Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's
Well,
fucking
actually, I
dope.
got into. I was a big Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles guy, and I saw the interview that Tom and I think Chris did with Comics and Crypto.
Yeah. Comics and crypto guys are cool. I like those guys.
Yeah, Sean's great, and
Yeah.
I actually just met Spencer the other day as well at New York City Comic Con, and so those guys are great. I watch them all the time. They're in a project that me and Vivi Zombie are in called Vivi. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but we're big into Vivi, and so we've been following Comics and Crypto for a while. And then when I saw that interview, I was like, wow, like this is going to be like the next. This could potentially be like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the future. I love the cyberpunk genre, and I was like, I got to get in on this. And when I originally bought, I think I bought like 3 or 4 of them, and I paid, I think, around $150 a piece for them.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, this is great. This gets my foot in the door. And I think I bought a gold one for like $1,000. And I was like, okay, this gets me going. Now I know that I've got at least an extremely rare one and a few rifters for later on down the road. And I'll be super excited when the comics come out, because at that time they weren't released.
Mhm.
And so that interview was incredible, but you weren't there. And so I always wondered, like, okay, who's Leri? And so I'm kind of glad that we actually got you to come on instead of the other guys, because I know a lot of people are busy now. So I kind of think it's like fate in a way, because now we get to hear from you.
Yeah. Tom's amazing though. Like the guy's just a bundle of energy, and he's just always just super fun to be around. And yeah, it's nuts. The fact that, he's written over like 120 of the issues, and it's just like now that he did Last Ronin, which is like his stock has just gone up like crazy.
Right here, I got the Aaron Bartling Last Ronin.
Yes.
Yep, I got that signed and sketched, and because I got this one with Rocksteady sketched in there by Eastman with a 9.8.
Yeah.
I'm a turtle fan. I don't have a ton of stuff, but I'm going to at least show that off, And
it's a benefit and a curse though, because he's, that thing's just taken off. Like when in his heart of hearts, he kind of wants to be just like doing something that is more just his, and that was sort of like EON Rift, but they just won't leave him alone after the success of the Last Ronin, and they just keep hitting him up, and he's on a crazy train.
And I saw that he announced that there's going to be another Last Ronin. They're doing a new comic now.
He's got more to come.
In the works. Yeah. Which good for him. He's a great writer. I love it. Last Ronin was incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a great read, and it was just like everything we needed when we were kids. We just needed that. We needed that final story,
Yeah.
And of course we love John Wick.
It just matured with the audience, it fits where like our age level and our sensibilities are now.
But I think that's what EON Rift does as well. It fits with our age group, but already in that kind of cartoonish kind of cyberpunk feel. And that's what really kind of spoke to me. And that's one of the reasons why I went so heavily into the project to begin with.
And it was pretty deliberate, in looking like in 2022, and I was kind of looking at the NFT space and like what kind of generative, collection I was thinking of making. And I was kind of looking around, and just everything was like very simple. It was either like 2D or just, a couple of eyes on a blob or something like that. And my inclination at that point was like if everybody's going left, go right, like do something more detailed. It's got a little bit of an edge to it. It probably in the end, it probably wasn't the right decision. I think there's probably a reason why these things are so damn simple. It makes a lot of sense to me now, but it was a very conscious effort that when we were making sort of a 360-degree IP, we wanted it to be accessible to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
And so really the idea was just looking at things like Animal Crossing, like these things that would even bring like, younger people or girls in, so it's got that, it can appeal to them. At the same time, it can have all the nerdy 13-year-old boy nerd out stuff about, cyberpunk or zombies or any of that kind
Yeah.
of thing. So it was very specifically designed to be able to kind of bridge both worlds.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, a little bit what Turtles did. I mean, it was pretty simply drawn back in the day, and it translates very well to, it can go, all the way from rated PG to all the way up to rated R if it needs to.
Right. Absolutely. So Zombie often asks me questions like, so what's EON Rift doing now? And I'm like, I don't know, but I'm super excited about the project. And I'm like, I haven't heard from the creators in a while, but I'm like, but these prices are insane. And so that's why I kept stacking. And I'm like, honestly, I didn't even expect you guys to be this far as you are now. I originally got in the project for the next bull run of
Yeah.
2028, 2029 ish, whatever 4 or 5 year run, whatever it is. And so I was kind of ecstatic when you guys you started integrating more things. I noticed that you started doing some nifty island things. Can you describe that for the people? What is this nifty island that everyone keeps talking about?
Sure. Nifty Island's basically kind of a really fun build your own world. Like anybody can kind of like sign up, build their own island. So it's kind of based on islands. And then you can just, and then basically the characters that inhabit those islands that people build, just custom built by people, kind of like Second Life, but they build their little islands. You can bring your NFT characters into it. If someone has made that NFT character into a 3D asset that kind of like fits the mold in terms of like a character that can walk around, swing a sword, shoot a gun, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they were kind of like, it's these kind of like metaverse things, or, this kind of idea has kind of been done, but these guys did they executed pretty well in terms of making what's called an SDK. So it's a something developer kit. I don't know what the S stands for, but it basically makes it so that anybody that knows a little bit of the technical background can like come in and slot a character or slot an item into their marketplace.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow.
And so yeah, go ahead.
I was just curious, can any of the characters be into that, or is it like the person does it themselves, or Nifty Island does it, or
it's basically, I think it's all the above, like the way Nifty Island works is, I think you just, you kind of write something to the blockchain, or you kind of initialize it. And so there's the route of just doing it yourself, but then there's I think what most people want, and that is they want the actual projects to basically one for one for whatever NFT you own, that character would be in that. Our problem has just been that we just haven't had the manpower to go in and get every single of the 5,000 characters ready to be able to go into Nifty Island, because it's just a lot of work. It's not non-trivial, and we're slowly working through it, but yeah.
And I think you guys got at least 4 now, right? That you put in.
We did some one-offs initially to kind of like test the waters. So basically, when we released the comic, if you bought the comic, we had 4 covers. One I did, and then a couple the guy that did the actual, his name's Joe Card. He did the actual art in the comic, and he did a cover. And then anyways, a couple other people did covers, and then of a character named Monk. And so basically what I did was I took the illustrations off the 4 comics, including my own, and I turned those characters off the Monk character off the comic front page, the cover page, and turned them into an asset that could be in Nifty Island. So we've got those, and then and just a few others. And then basically we have some guns, some swords, we have some assets that, like, if you build an island, you can theme it out to be cyberpunk. So we have like a ramen shop, we have like a record store, things like that.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, and you have to own those to be able to put those on the island itself to run around.
That's right. Yeah, I guess that's the whole idea behind these kind of like it's like it's kind of like everybody's trying to go for that kind of, I guess like Fortnite or really probably Steam, the Steam marketplace, where you had all these cosmetics for sale in various games, whether it be TF2 or Counter-Strike or Dota. And I think that that's kind of like the kind of pathway that most people kind of think about in these things. But then they kind of combine that with, you remember like in Grand Theft Auto 5, you could have an apartment, and then you could like kit out the apartment, make it look, and invite people in, and then, whatever, and they could see what your style was. And so I think, whether it's Nifty Island or, any of these other, companies that are producing worlds like that, that's the idea, right? I mean, it's not new territory, but it's just trying to figure out how the heck you integrate it with crypto and NFTs, but actually not have it go to zero.
Yeah, and you guys kind of like partnered with another crypto project called GigaGeek, correct?
Yeah.
And at some point that will be used for other things possibly in the future, was the thinking, right? With the partnership.
Yeah, well, that was kind of our foray. We were thinking, and during the token craze, I don't know if you can remember, because like everything goes by at warp speed, but sort of like the middle of last year, heading into the end of the year, everybody was, because of Pump Fund, everybody was launching a token. And we had one of our whales at EON RIFT. He was a guy named Jordy. I think he may have owned more than even you. And he was just hammering us, you got to do a token, because he was big into crypto. And so basically off the back of that, he kind of like hooked up some people that could put a token together. We were a bit hesitant to have a token attached with directly attached with our IP, just because of reasons, like we had a lot of people that are involved in EON RIFT that they're not very happy with the state of crypto, or what the kind of things that they get in the media is all about rug pulls and it's kind of scams and whatnot. So we kind of had to, but we knew that at some point, I mean, my own personal belief is every project's going to have some kind of token, right? It's just to me, it's almost inevitable. So GigaGeek was sort of that foray into, let's test the waters to try to like figure out what a token could be like. That's it's connected to us, but it's also not directly connected to us. So that at some point in the future, if EON RIFT does a token, and it has to do with like our game economy, and it's really integrated with us, it can be its own thing. And we've learned all these lessons from kind of like launching this meme coin over on Solana. So that was the thing. But it's like anything. I mean, like you just can't help, like just as creatives, we can't help but like interweave the kind of like ideas there. And so
and I was kind of shocked to see it so soon too, because I honestly didn't think that coin was going to come out until 2026, 2027. In just my thinking when I first got into the project.
I really, really wish that we had your thinking, because I think we just came out too soon. I think we kind of bought into this idea of the 4-year cycle. So about when I started, I quit my job and started doing this full time in 2022. And then I built the collection over a year, 3D modeling like every day for forever. And then we got into 2023 organizing it all, and then we launched, kind of really predicated on this idea that we were gonna basically be in existence, ready to go for when the bull market really starts to rip. And we tried to time that, and we timed it horribly. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I haven't seen a bull market yet personally. I mean, maybe
it's definitely been delayed for sure. I don't think that your timing was wrong in the traditional thinking, but it definitely was delayed. I was more expecting it, because I think you launched it, or the other company launched it in like, what was it, April or something, or somewhere around then. And typically we see a bull run starting in, early fall, late summer, right? And it starts to kick into gear. So we're definitely late. There's obviously a lot of outside factors, the tariffs, them not dropping the rate. They're kind of, screwing around with Trump on that. And it's getting political, and it's like, come on, let's just get the economy going, because the whole world is dependent on U.S. policy in some way, shape, or form on
100%. Yeah.
on rates. So it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I don't think you guys were wrong in doing that, and I think overall, when we do see that bull run, I think obviously the Giga Geek will get some traction, anyways. Just
Like right now
because,
we're just sort of just showing proof of life, making sure
yeah,
that people understand that like we're not selling it. We'll never rug. I mean, it
yeah,
just will never.
yeah, and
Even if
I
it gets
haven't
down to
actually
the
bought
loss of like
any.
our liquidity, it won't be us. We're never selling because the reality is like the guy's kind of involved, minus Jordy. He ended up kind of bailing. He got a little bit spooked and bailed, even though he
Yeah,
kind of like led us into the whole thing. But
yeah,
the rest of us, that's not what we're about. Like we've all had pretty decent careers. And even though, we're a little bit in the hole personally, financially, just keeping everything afloat, waiting for this kind of
yeah,
bull market to rip.
Mhm.
That's never been the goal, was to quote unquote make money off of, the backs of other people that,
right,
support this stuff. It was always more that, literally hand on heart, is just that we wanted to be able to create an IP that we controlled, because most
right,
of us, Tom included, Tom will say this himself, yeah, he's worked on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but at the end of the day, somebody still tells him what to do. And he's got all this, and the same with me. I may have
right.
worked on, Avatar 1 through 5 and
Hmm.
Mad Max Fury Road and Ghost in the Shell and all of Neil Blomkamp's movies. And, I've
Yeah,
worked on, whatever, but I don't call the shots, like I'm not
yeah,
the guy
Right.
that makes the, hey, let's turn left, not right. And
absolutely.
so that's basically, I think, like what EON Rift, it was this idea that like between Chris and I, the end goal was to do something like an anime or a 2-hour feature. And we thought the best pathway was to kind of like build up this IP,
Hmm.
and then do that. But like I said, the timing's just been a little bit rough, to say the least.
Oh yeah. Quick question. Do you have any vision of going to a phygital type where you create a physical like comic, let's say, or figures or something that branches out your brand to
Yeah, I
people
mean,
to
yeah,
have on
there's
their
just
desk
no
and
shortage.
stuff?
Like, we have, it's like any project, you have a ton of ideas. What we want to do, but it's
Mhm.
just a matter of having the money to do it. And that's just been our biggest issue, is just that,
Yeah.
like if you
Right.
kind of look at our real world jobs. I mean, I know how to ship movies into theaters, and Chris
Hmm.
has worked forever and a day in video games, and he knows how to get video games going.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And Tom's done like comics for forever and a day. He knows how to get comics going. We've got David Ura, who does card games, and works at Pokemon, and so he knows everything about shipping card games. So we have the institutional knowledge for how to get that stuff off the ground.
Mhm.
Right.
But again, it's just like, unfortunately, the ideas end up being sort of a dime a dozen, but you need actual people working. And that's been like one of I think the biggest things that I've had to grapple with going into blockchain or crypto, is that like I kind of come from a world where, like, when you're making a video game or you're making a movie, everybody's got a job and they just show up and they do it.
Yeah.
But the one thing I found here is like in crypto, there's like a lot of advisors, or there's a lot of people that like don't really do any development. Um, they just click buttons.
Mhm.
And so it's been a little bit of a learning curve trying to find uh, people that kind of fit our ethos, which is actually work and develop.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, yes, we really we got real excited, because I don't know if you guys have seen any of this like latest and greatest 3D printing, but man, you can like straight up print in color now with really, really good resolution. And
Wow.
that was like early on. Chris loves that stuff. I think he has a 3D printer like at
Yeah.
home,
Mhm.
just a hobby one. But
Yeah.
like from the get go, he was trying to be like, how can we be it? So like people click a button and they just 3D print their Rifter and have it sent to them.
Oh man, that'd be
But yeah,
amazing.
it's just,
Well,
unfortunately, it's just not, the tech's getting there. It's just not quite there yet.
and you
Yeah.
guys also do have a shop too, correct? I've never purchased anything from there.
Yeah, it's
But
just a Shopify store. Again, like most of
mhm,
what we did was take the treasury and try to spend it into areas to spin them up, so that when things really got going, we weren't starting from ground zero. So
Yeah.
yeah, but that's just a Shopify store. So that was kind of like print on demand. So, all just every t-shirts, mugs, like whatever you want. Yeah.
That's cool. So I want to ask you a question that I don't know if anyone's actually asked you. I kind of see where people say they want you to what they want you to do.
Yeah.
What can we do as holders of the IP, and when we buy it, or us on our show? What can we do to help Eon Rift become successful?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's everything under the sun, like we're a little bit like, that's why I love you guys so much, because I've said for a while that every company, whether they know it or not, they're in an infotainment war.
Hmm.
So, we've gone past the internet technology age into the attention economy age. Have you guys heard that kind of idea?
Yeah.
So the idea is that, like all the former companies that made $1 jillion, they just did everything sort of information technology and organizing data and all that kind of stuff. But going forward, it's going to be who can get the attention in this really divided economy, or divided world that's kind of going on. Who can get eyeballs on things? And so, to me, the biggest thing is just like is that kind of thing, like developing things that get eyeballs. Um,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
like you guys are just absolutely amazing, just because you're in the exact right space at the right time for, I think, this future economy that's kind of coming. You
Yeah.
just got to build a following and then just really hammer. Um,
Yeah.
so, and then like there's a guy Turbo, so he's out of Australia, and
Turbo Dragon.
he's
Yep.
been building on Nifty Island, and then everything he asks for, I provide him 3D models, and then he puts them in there
Mhm.
because that gets eyeballs in. I think that's just
Yeah.
the biggest thing is we just need people that are kind of doing their own thing in some way that gets the word out. That would be helpful.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just have faith and hold on. Nothing.
Yep.
The hard lesson with crypto is like you just hold and that's it. That's the only way number goes up. You just got to hold,
Mhm.
but it's a real hard thing. It's real
Um,
hard.
yeah. So you guys have a comic that you've already
Yep.
released. It was 10 pages. I would have
Yep.
liked a little bit more, but
Yep.
man,
Me
was
too.
that story incredible. Um, I've been telling Vivi this, and I don't know if you watched our previous shows. Vivi has thousands of comics on their site that they sell, all the name brands you can think of almost. Um, they hold, I mean, it's almost like a monopoly. It's insane. But what they don't have is motion comics.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Mhm.
you guys are missing it. Like
Yeah.
Eon Rift, and we even had one of the CEOs of Vivi see one of our shows,
Yep.
and I said, look, like you need to watch hour 15 minutes in, look at Eon Rift. And I did a segment where I said, this entire thing is motion. It's incredible. You
Yeah.
feel like you're in a movie, but you're not. You're reading the comic, but it's
Yeah.
moving enough to make you feel um, different about what you're
Yeah.
seeing.
Yeah.
That scene where Monk gets shot in the face,
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
was just like,
Yeah,
what?
mind
Like,
blown. We were the same way when that kid came back with it, doing it.
yes.
We were just like, "Gee, this is amazing. Do more of this."
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I'm like, how do you start the comic off like that? I'm like, well, this comic's over. Like,
yeah,
but
yeah,
no, there was more to the story, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
it was just a great read.
Well,
The only issue I see with you guys right now is the comic reader is down.
yeah,
Um, and at some point I'd like to see it up because I'd like to read the comic again.
yeah. No
Um,
doubt. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Well, that's
which I'm sure it's
yeah.
in
The number
motion.
one, the other problem with any type of live service or trying to run something is you got to
Mhm.
actually pay monthly. And we just got to a point where it was just like not the best use of money to try to keep going forward. So that's that.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's
yeah,
it's ready to be switched on. It's just that full transparency. Both Chris and Raccoon basically had to, all of us basically have had to go back and start to rebuild our bank accounts because we pretty much like, put ourselves sort of in a hole because we believe in this.
I bet.
But there comes a point where you kind of got to regenerate a little bit.
Yep.
And it's just been this one of these things where I think like some things are just falling through the cracks because, you know, people have day jobs now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, man, when this story continues, it's going to be incredible.
Well, you know, like that's the thing is it's real interesting. Like, I don't know if I think I was in the other camp of like, it shouldn't be behind a gate, like especially the first issue. But you know, everybody that was sort of like crypto native was like, no, you got to make it, you got to make this like, you know, crypto gated or, you know, token gated or whatever. But like, what's your guys' kind of feeling on that? Because it does worry me that like, you know, you make this amazing thing and then nobody can see it. So unless they, you know, buy one, which is cool, but if you get into this kind of situation, then nobody's seeing it. So you guys have
I
any
think
thoughts
that
on that?
all personally goes away when that first issue is printed. When that gets going, when that goes into first print, I think that the comic itself should have some kind of thing inside of it that says, by the way, get the digital copy or not, link your digital copy with the digital.
Yeah.
And these are available on here and continue the storyline.
So,
you know, I would do it like that. Just my opinion. Go ahead, Zombie.
To piggyback on that, would you be opposed to cross-platform, you know, kind of mingling? Like with Vivi, you have a huge comic fandom there. The attention's already there. And they're looking for new projects and new things. And with Vivi going and having independent artists create comics digitally, and then in turn you can do a physical launch, maybe through a Kickstarter or something, you know, and the attention would be there because tons of people would talk about that. That'd be huge. I don't see a lose situation in
No,
that.
I
You know
couldn't
what I
agree
mean?
with you more. I mean, I think you need to go where the people are. So yeah, it's like, you know, it's like these days, right? You just build a website and nobody even goes to websites, but you know, everybody's on social media or they're, you know, wherever they are. That's where you got to go and you got to be there and be active.
I can tell you
So
right
no,
now.
I'm personally not, you know, I've you know, I can't tell you, like, basically I'm a contributor on the Steam marketplace. And the reason that that's done relatively well is because jillions of people are on Steam. And it's definitely the way to go. So like, that's it. You got to be where the people are.
The moment that I get to talk to David again, I just spoke with him in NYC. We are going to have him on the show. David is the CEO of Vivi.
Nice.
He is absolutely going to know about EON Rift.
Okay,
And
cool.
I will definitely do my best to link you guys together in some way, shape, or form, because
Perfect.
we want to get more content on Vivi, but we also want to see you guys succeed, and we want to see the storyline succeed because I need to read the next issue.
Right.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Yeah, just got Tom waiting in the wings to start ripping, but in the meantime, I've just been doing, you know, as sort of a backup, I've been, you know, I guess I'm no slouch at drawing or making images, so I've been making a comic over for GigaGeek, and
I saw
it's
that.
basically just me kind of getting a workflow down so that when it's time to switch gears, I could maybe, you know, if it comes down to it and it's just me, you know, back in the garage just doing this whole thing, it'll be me making the EON Rift comic. So
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, and I don't think it takes away from what you've already launched and sold too, because they're totally different, right? One's super cool with the animations and it's its own thing, but on Vivi it's another thing that, and you don't have to recreate it. It's already made. I'm sure you have all the, you know, artwork done and all the layouts created. So really, I don't see a lot of cost coming to you guys to launch on Vivi with that. Yeah. You know, we don't know how the comic curator program is going to work exactly, but we already have IP lining up and comics being created in just waiting for that to launch. So
yeah, well, I mean, the still comic is no problem. And then, but are you guys saying that Vivi doesn't really have a motion comic? Would we be the first motion comic, or are they doing motion comic?
They haven't said they're doing them yet. So if you would be the first, and that would be
Damn, that would
historic.
be sick.
That'd
That'd be
be
sick coming out of the gate and
that'd be
like
a
blowing everybody
collector's
away with
item.
literally the only motion comic.
Yes. And
Yeah.
so I came up with this idea because they have a comic rating system similar kind of to how you guys did your comic, but they did common, uncommon, rare, ultra rare, and secret rare. And you could still have all those things. And my idea was, why wouldn't you guys use that as a burn mechanism that you need to burn, let's say, a whole set, and then you get a motion comic
Mm.
and a
Yeah.
full motion comic. And
And you
then,
come over to Eon and now turn that in, and
right.
now you're moving the audience over here a
Yes.
little bit and
That's
getting
right.
eyeballs.
That's
Right.
right.
Yeah.
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 And
Yeah,
Vivi
that's
does
cool.
collectibles too. So then you can also do the figures, which those are motion already.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
you know, you could also get the figures going too. I mean, it's just future talk, but
Yeah.
either way, I think it's a great idea. And I've honestly been thinking about this for a while
Yeah.
because it's such a good IP and it needs to be on Vivi.
Yeah.
In some way, shape, or form. Not to take away from the ETH aspect, but it's where everyone's at. That reads
Yeah.
comics.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes sense. It's just like the things that are already collectible, just like the nature of them is just so perfect for blockchain and crypto and NFTs, you know, it just translates so well. And probably the most successful things have literally been because of that, because you're not fighting anything mentally with people.
Yeah.
It's like they get that comics are collectible, or cards from card games are collectible, or figures
right.
are collectible. They get it,
Mhm.
you know?
And
Yeah.
and they just announced Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I was
Wow.
a little disappointed. I think last Ronin announced that they were going to be on a different site.
Okay.
But I think that's because Eastman has Last Ronin, correct? Yeah, I
Yeah.
think he has the rights to that. And
Yeah.
TMNT, I think, is Paramount.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So Vivi has Paramount as a license, but they have Disney, they have Marvel, they have DC. You know, they got them all. And so it would just be nice to have your products next to theirs. That's all.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You know. So we'll see. We'll do some talking if we can.
Okay. Yeah, I'd appreciate the hookup for sure, without a doubt.
Yeah. Awesome.
100%. That'd be freaking amazing. And you could see it. Can't you envision, like, collectibles, like fighting and moving around and doing their thing in comics and yeah.
How
totally.
about well, another great thing about Vivi, and I was wanting to ask you this, is there a feature where EON Rift could be made into AR with the collectibles?
I mean, like technically it's all there. It's just, again, it just always comes down to who's going to do the work. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I think that would be a really cool feature where you
Yeah.
could take pictures with your collectible figures that you have. Obviously, they're just currently in a picture state, but in Nifty Island, they're in a 3-dimensional state, and obviously you'd have to have all of them available to be able to do something like that. But it's just, you know, just a thought for future stuff.
yeah, I mean, like, for sure, that's the eyes on the prize kind of thing, especially, just with across all of that.
That's
Yeah,
great.
that'd be amazing. Like,
We-
I mean, just for how many people use VR chat alone, you know, just having like a huge representation inside VR chat would be amazing. So I was saying, it's like interesting, like, you know, I've worked on a video game back in 2004, and it took us about 5 years to develop. It's just sort of a hobby project, and it's still going strong to this day. It's got a player base, and there's a whole group of young people that now love the game so much they've now grown up and become developers, and they're taking over doing a sequel to it.
Mhm.
And it's just interesting because, you know, in that scenario where I kind of made this game from 2004 to 2009, it attracted people that just wanted to make, you know, video games. That's the kind of people it attracted.
Yeah.
And I was kind of, I don't know, I was kind of hoping our protocol would attract people like that as well. You know, like they would see these models and they'd want to come in and, like, you know, participate in that way in the protocol. You know, like, hey, you know, I love the look of this. You know, I'm a you know, I'm a modeler, or I make environments, or this or that, but it really hasn't materialized. It's
I think we're just early on that.
It's mostly just been kind of the NFT crowd, but we haven't really attracted the, like, developers other than sort of like Turbo and a few other people.
Mhm. There's a video game that you guys kind of advertised on your site. It seemed like a shooter
Yeah,
in a city. What
yeah.
is that?
That again, that was just sort of like, we're doing what was called a vertical slice. So it was kind of like showing the idea of like what a game. So it was a wave shooter. And the
Hmm.
idea is like how many waves could you last in this kind of like city environment as you're getting attacked by the enemies kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's basically what it was. And it just had sort of a leaderboard. And the idea was that, like as time went on, we'd like grow that out. We'd make more environments, more waves,
Yeah.
and just turn it into it. But really all that was just sort of a proof of concept. Like,
Mm.
it looks good, it functions, just we just need to ramp up production and make things bigger.
So, did you guys implement a certain area? Did you ever release that, or that was just to show like this is what we could do? Or
No, we did. People initially that were in the EON Rift Discord got to play it. I mean, you could probably play it. The problem again is just that to do to do it in crypto where it's really scary to click on things, like
Mhm.
you attach your wallet to stuff.
Yeah,
It's not non-trivial to be asking people to connect their wallet. So initially we were just kind of like making it sort of this little standalone thing that people could go dork with, because
yeah,
Mhm.
the development behind like hooking all of the stuff up to an economy and having somebody safely connect their wallet was a little bit daunting to us at the time.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's there. Like we've got a Fall Guys sort of game, kind of like yeah, like if you guys know Fall Guys, got sort
Hmm.
of an obstacle course runner, like like not a maze runner, but just an obstacle course type runner game. We had a couple games going where we got the development initially up and running, but like I said, we were kind of like waiting for more funds to kind of come in to then push them to the next level, and it just
Yeah.
didn't happen.
Kind of like waiting for the pump.
Yeah, and that was what I mean about timing. And so, probably looking back now, knowing, armchair quarterbacking it now, it probably would have been like hold on to the treasury and just wait. But that's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have a question down. Did you pull that up at all?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
I think from Paul. He had a question for you. What does he think of the anti-AI movement we see with some gamer commentators?
Well, I mean, it's not going away. It's just the thing is that
Go ahead. You can keep going.
when it's affecting a lot of people's jobs, just across the board. And so whether it's people that are KOLs in the gamer space and they're realizing that like somebody can bang together an AI video and slam it up on YouTube and get a jillion more hits than them, and they can just like make one a day, whereas for them it takes a week, 2 weeks to kind of like put together something quality. I think it's just that fear factor of like AI is kind of coming to take our jobs. And I think the other thing is like a lot of people that love video games know that there's people that make the video games, and it's always a funky space where commerce meets art. It's always a weird thing, like
Mhm.
I've been neck deep in that my whole life, where I'm kind of making art, but then it has to turn into value, has to go into the marketplace. And so I think when those two things kind of combined, unless it's just pure art, um, you're going to get people that are obviously going to be a little bit disgruntled by the fact that these jillion dollar companies that are getting funded like out the wazoo, they're literally just scraping the internet. So anything that any like an artist like myself, anything I've ever posted up in the internet is now fair game for them just to take and utilize an AI. I think that's where they're coming from. It's just a little bit scary or daunting. It doesn't my time has come. Like I luckily got into the industry when I'm a phone call away from working with James Cameron or George Miller or any of these dudes, Neil Blomkamp. So like
Right.
I'm good, but I fear for the youth, man. I don't even know what to say to them in terms of like I think things are just going to have to settle down and see where we're
Yeah.
just in a real state of flux right now. We got to see where everything kind of lands with AI. I
Yeah. When
really
I
thought
saw.
that way we'd be one lawsuit by like I remember like a lot of images that were being generated were having a little Getty Images watermark on them because they were scraping Getty Images, and I thought, oh, we're one lawsuit away from like just absolutely suing these AI companies into the dirt.
Yeah.
But that's not to say, like I said, it's just, it's like a tool, right? Like I'm of an age when I remember when we were doing concept art, it was all like wash markers or colored pencils, and then along came Photoshop, and everybody thought, oh, it's over, blah blah blah, it's over. But we just
Yeah.
learned to use Photoshop.
Yeah,
Then
you just
3D came
utilized
along.
it,
It's like, oh, 3D is gonna, take all our jobs, and then no, it just became one more tool. I just think we're in that flux right now. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, we're just in that
Yeah.
flux where, there'll be the huge shakeout, this bubble, the AI bubble will burst. And then on the other side will be the actual utilitarian companies that are doing something good with AI. Yeah.
Right. And parameters in place, and obviously
Yeah.
safeguards
Yeah.
for
Just
IP
some
so you can't
guardrails.
infringe.
Yeah. Some guardrails that where it makes sense. And then also just so that people can understand how it's being used, right? Because I think that's the other thing is people kind of, like if that Tom Waltz has made a comic, right? He wrote it, and then he got one of his buddies that works at Marvel to come over and illustrate it.
Mm-hmm.
There's everything that comes with them, that whole package of everything they've done over their life and their career that comes with it. Why that has value. Now, if somebody can just press a button to make a comic, is it valuable? Like it spits out 30 pages and it's okay,
Right.
but
Right.
so.
Yeah.
There's, like I said, there's some things to work out there, and I think we're just early days, and it'll sort of work itself out.
Yeah. It's the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember looking at your movie list the other night, and I was like, "Oh man, he did Elysium!" Like,
Yeah.
I was like, what movie hasn't he done? They're all like
Yeah.
that
Avatar.
futuristic, cyberpunk
Yeah, I was
kind of
just in the
feel.
right place at the right time, honestly.
Yeah,
It's all props to this place I worked at called What a Workshop. It was
that's
I
cool.
almost didn't even make it into the film industry. I'd really actually given up. I'd moved to Hollywood when I was really young, like 22, and was like
Really?
just me and my skateboard and like sleeping in abandoned buildings and whatnot. And I just couldn't break in. I really tried, and I had to went home with my tail between my legs, and ended up getting into internet stuff because I could do graphics. So I started doing internet stuff. But I
Yeah.
by happenstance ended up over here in New Zealand, and what some guy I used to just play video games with. He was already working there, and he knew that I did sci-fi stuff, and they'd only ever done fantasy stuff. And he's like, "Hey, we're about to work on Halo. Do you want to come in? Nobody knows how to do like sci-fi shit." I was like, "Yeah, I want to come in." And then
Yeah.
from
Wow.
that, I did District 9 and all of Neil's movies and Avatar and all those kind of things.
District 9, that's another one. Yeah, it's like,
Jeez.
yeah, you just locked into the right industry. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
just in the right place, like literally, like charmed, absolute charmed life, because it was just a weird thing to be right there in California, and I'm Northern California, and right there, and going down and trying to break in and couldn't, it was gate kept the whole way through. It's just who you know, and I just didn't know anybody, and it was real tough because I kind of wanted to work in film my whole life, and just could not break in. And then I just randomly gave up, came to New Zealand, and then like somebody called me up and said, "Hey, come in and work in the film industry." So I don't know
Wow.
how
That's
these things work, but
That's
they're
interesting
good.
you said that, because I was just listening to Rogan's podcast that he just released with Katie something from Battlestar Galactica. And she was
Mm-hmm.
saying the same thing. She was there for 10 years before she ever made it in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
moved, almost the same story. Moved down there, was like you couldn't get anything for the life of you. And then she moved back to Florida or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's tough out there. It's gate kept, just like you said.
Yeah, it's very, very, very much gate kept, and so, but that's it's a whole other topic of,
Right.
like this like sequel-itis thing that's kind of like happened where they just keep making sequels and sequels and sequels, and they're just like grinding everything that we loved in childhood into dust,
Yeah.
rather
Mm,
than all the beautiful things where they maybe spent a little bit less money but took a chance on a new idea. Um,
yeah.
but really that's just off the back of the, like, I don't think a lot of people maybe understand that the 2008 financial crisis was bigger than what they know. And
Yeah.
when I was making movies prior to 2008, they used to release all the funds to us so that we could do the job properly. After
Hmm.
2008, they were so scared of like all the big Paramount, Universal, everybody was like right at the edge of bankruptcy. They just don't release the money. They release it in trickles now. So you have like milestones, but it's real hard to do like something properly when you not given the full amount to like just spend the money how you need to do it. They just trickle it out to you. And so you kind of get what you get.
Yeah.
And so it's a real different beast, like the way movies are made. And honestly, like the big giant movies now, they they really changed in the sense of commerce, because now they kind of the idea is that they can just play on an airplane on a screen about this big, and you don't even have to hear them. You don't have to hear what's being said, but you understand the movie. And
Hmm.
that's basically that idea. There is just that, like, you just want to go out to the world and try to get enough people to look at your movies, and that's what Marvel's been doing mostly. It's just, making big spectacles. And
Yeah, they lost it after the Thanos thing, right? I
yeah,
just felt like it was just fell apart after that, and I was like, what are they
yeah,
doing? Like, it was such a climactic moment for that end game series, and after that, they were just spewing them out, and it was just garbage. And I was like,
yeah. And I think it just comes to planning, right? It's like like when they were first figuring out that whole MCU thing, they actually plotted it out. They did planning and they thought
yeah,
about it. They weren't doing everything reactionary. Like thing of the moment, or this actor of the moment, or whatever. They really plotted that thing out. They were like, okay, we got to make people understand who the Avengers are. So we're going to give each of them a movie, and we're going to write each character in these movies so that you care about them. So when they come together and Avengers assemble, you get it. And then after they've assembled, okay, now we give them the big, finger stop moment. Like they really thought those things out, but a lot of that's just going by the wayside. Yeah, unfortunately.
so that kind of reminds me of the Eon Rift series, for certain collectibles, or I say collectibles, but the NFTs. Um, if you own certain ones, supposedly they might be in the future comic.
Yeah,
How does
yeah,
that play out?
that was like, we have a pretty cool ecosystem planned out, where the idea is that, like, as the storyline progresses, different things are introduced in the comics, and
Hmm.
then the things that are introduced, whether they be like, weapons or new characters or blah blah blah, those things then actually end up being sort of released into our game economy. So that, if you get the comic, and basically at some point you unlock, it's just like getting drops or unlocks in the
Hmm.
sort of like game worlds that we were going to create. But what you're referring to there was just, yes, this idea that we'd be able to have these moments where, either randomly or semi-randomly, or depending on how many you own, or whether you have a gold rifter or this or that, that basically your character would make a guest appearance in some fashion into a comic. So along would come a comic that literally is a one of one, your character's in it, for that episode. Whether they be a hacker or a mercenary that joins in or whatever. We realized we kind of needed to treat it a little bit like a cosmetic, so it
Hmm.
doesn't necessarily affect gameplay or affect, those kind of things. But it would
Yeah.
still be pretty cool. And that was sort of the idea there. Yeah.
Um, I was trying to explain something the other day, and that reminded me what you just said. Um, that I was trying to explain to people. There's also an AI autocannon. Am I saying that
Yeah.
correctly? Um,
Yeah. That's amazing. That's
it
crazy. I mean,
explain that, because I don't think I
sure.
explained it correctly.
No, I heard you explain it, and you kind
Okay.
of got it right. Maybe
Okay.
didn't get the exact technical details, but as long as he went away realizing that it was a way to write into a universe without destroying the higher level canon.
And you kind of write it
And
yourself, right, for your characters?
yeah, well, basically, it's really fun. It's actually really cool. It's like using an LLM to that we feed in the Eon Rift world, all the canon that we have as the original. So everything Tom kind of creates at the super high level. And this would be like, if it was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it'd be the four turtles, and it'd be like the canon that's
Yeah.
never going to be changed, right?
Yeah. They
Mhm.
have
So what
their
happens
storylines
in
locked
fan
in.
fiction is, anytime somebody comes in and writes some fan fiction, if they deviate, whether it's Star Wars or Batman or whatever it is, right? If they at any point kind of like write something that's going to affect the larger world of the IP, then it diverges, right? Can no longer be part of that story, because it's going away from where the true story is going.
Right.
Well, what we did was we created this thing called autocannon, where we fed it our official lore that can't be changed. and we are able to tell the AI or the LLM that anybody can write in this world. They can take their NFT character and they can write whatever cyberpunk kind of thing they want. And then as they write it, it checks it. Is it interfering in some way so that when Tom writes the official, that there'll be a contradiction? And if it sees that contradiction, it just pops up with a red saying, hey, love what you've written here, but this part here, you know, like you've made a cloaking device there, you can't be seen by surveillance, and so unfortunately that just makes you too strong in the world, or you know, whatever it is. So everything else is cool, but this has got to go, and so you type something else. But the way that we were kind of also doing it was we had, it's a really cool idea where it kind of goes across both your PC and your phone. It's just like kind of integrated, and it's kind of like this ongoing. Are you guys familiar with like MUD games? I don't know what MUD stands for, but it's kind of like you say something and then the computer responds back to you, and then
No.
you just play this throughout the day.
Okay.
So it'd be like, hey, you know, you see some shady dudes in an alley, you know, what do you do? And it's just like you type in what you do, and then later on that day it tells you the outcome or this or that. But the idea was just basically that you could take your character and play this role-playing game, this game that you're playing with a game master, right? That's building out your character's backstory, and it's an adventure. It's an adventure that you're going on as your character. And then we have basically the kind of your stats panel. We've got a middle panel where you're interacting. You're saying the DM, the dungeon master says, this is what's happened. You type in, this is what I do. And then we have this other panel where it's written then in prose. It's written as a story. So it's a like cool, like three panel thing going on. And then by the end of your little, you know, your gaming session, you've got a story of your character that's now written to the blockchain of that for that character and his backstory.
And it
so
like it holds
when you go to buy
it,
somebody, when you go to buy a Rifter, he would come with this, depending on how far the person had taken and how much time they had spent with their character in this role playing world. They come with this sort of backstory.
I really like
and
that.
They come with all the drops. You know, like the longer you're in there, the more drops that you get, the more valuable the character has, because they get night vision gear, this or that. And we even had like, you know, the kind of crass thing of like, you know, you're doing something with Nike and then you make some cyberpunk shoes and you're playing the game and you come across some Nike cyberpunk shoes, you know, you've got them now because you participated. Because that was the big thing, was we wanted drops and things like that to be totally related to the amount of energy you put into the project. So if you're just sitting there like all day long, you know, kind of like playing this game on your phone, you know, or playing this game on your PC when you get home, that, you know, it gets into this nice virtuous loop. But anyways, and it's pretty cool. We have a guy named Alex that super smart guy. I mean, just right there, the ground floor of all that stuff, and he just knows all that stuff forwards and backwards. So he was able to like bust out this autocannon thing where, like I said, anybody that wants to participate from a creative point of view, or if we got this RPG up and running, they're not stomping on Tom's toes, because, you know, like Tom's got a very clear vision of kind of like where he wants to go with the story, and he doesn't want, you know, some fan fiction coming in and kind of like ruining it or this or that. But there won't be any contradiction at that point. So it's kind of a cool
that's
thing.
just ready in place for when you do an RPG, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I love that idea. I mean, it's
that's
amazing.
super cool.
Right, Zombie?
It's amazing. It's got to display like where that character's at in levels and badges and, like you were saying, airdrops and stuff. That's a way to get attention and to keep attention, you know.
Yes, it is.
And then the final thing would just be that, you know, if they can finally get an AI to where it's consistent with its imagery, it's not putting 6 fingers on people and, you know, all that kind of shit, but it can literally take the image of your Rifter and we could train it up into a comic style. Then that would be the ultimate thing, is you'd almost have 4 panels. You'd have all your stats, you know, of your game character. And like you said, the badges, everything, right? And then you've got your like RPG where you're playing the game, and then you've got this story where people could just read about it. But the ultimate thing would be it just busts out a comic at the end.
Man.
You know?
So, I love
It's a like I
Such a
said. I
cool
mean,
idea.
it's all there. It just needs to be developed. So
And you're just sitting back like, I want to do all this, and I've got
yeah,
all this in place,
You're like,
and I'm
yeah,
just, you're just frozen,
yeah,
essentially just
yeah,
waiting for so many things to come.
yeah, yeah. I think that's the downside of swinging for the fences, right? It's like I
Mhm.
think none of us that are involved just wanted to do some little teeny niche thing. We wanted to literally, in our heart of hearts, there's no way you're going to become a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but that was our guiding star. Like we just wanted to get that big. We just wanted to get to where, we were the ground floor of this amazing IP, and all these dudes that worked on other people's IPs that have made $1 billion, and they only get paid like, we get paid, hourly rate. So we don't benefit. There's no profit sharing in kind of any of this stuff.
Well, this is the future for you guys,
The
and
studios,
yeah,
and they don't profit share. So
yeah,
I could be behind like the coolest looking thing in a movie that really made the movie, and everybody could be like, wow, man, if that wasn't
yeah,
in the movie, it'd be shit. But it doesn't. That and $8 will get me a coffee.
right.
So
And with
so like
NFTs and blockchain, it'll give you continual revenue for life
yeah,
as
yeah.
an artist.
Yeah, and that was the big draw for me. That was initially kind of what pulled me in, because like I've done really really well in the Steam marketplace, and I
Mhm.
kind of wanted to pay it forward in that way. Now Steam, Valve takes so it's like a 70-30 split. You get 30, they get 70, but you do all the
Mhm.
work. Well, that's not true. They did some work for sure,
Yeah,
but that was my dream, was could you get to a place where you can get the smart contracts and everything down to such a way that like it makes sense for the the platform to only take 30 and the actual creator gets 70. That'd be amazing, or even more. Like
yeah,
how small can you get that number down to for the platform, but the more for
right.
the creator? It's a bit of a pipe dream, but like I think that was the one thing that really really attracted me to the smart contracts and this kind of stuff, because there's a lot of creatives out there, and at the they're very creative, but man, it sucks having to like chase people up for money or figure out percentages or all that kind of stuff. It'd be so sick if like you just work on a project, you get given a percentage and it just shows up. you know
Yeah,
the smart
right.
contract, the money, the profits get dumped in, and then there's no humans, there's no accounting, there's none of that. It just
Yeah.
flows straight to you. That'd be
Does
amazing.
in the NFTs, do you have rights at all to that NFT to use it in any kind of monetary way?
That's what I wanted. I wanted a participatory thing. So I somehow had envisioned that people would be like just taking their rifters and going off and making comics
Right. Making a
and
t-shirt,
whatnot.
selling, promoting
Yeah,
their rifter. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'm kind of all about that, but I guess the problem is that the universal problem that companies have ever had, whether you end up finding out that on the other side of, like, for as evil as Disney is, on the other side, well, they can't be having like like horrible stuff being done in their name. And so I
yeah,
think that's always been the kind of
Right.
issue, is like, how do you kind of license this out? But if somebody goes off and does like hentai porn with your
Right.
characters and then puts your
right.
logo on it, then
Yeah.
but having said that, I still feel like there's got to be a way, right? Because clearly,
Limitations, right?
well, yeah, I
Any
mean,
kind of
clearly it's working. Like I
contractual.
said, in the Steam thing, like, anything I've ever made in Dota or anything I've ever made in TF2, somebody kind of looked at it or figured it out and was like, okay, no, this isn't, there's no swastikas on this, or, whatever.
Mhm.
Right.
It's good to go. I think it's just kind of like building that. But,
I kind of
Mhm.
thought that those gold rifters were kind of a good item to use for like representation of the game itself, because it's like a statue,
yeah,
where you could use it like on a logo on something, or like say kind of like with what was the big NFT where they did the franchises and they were putting their NFT on there.
yeah,
Um,
Oh,
um,
Board Ape Yacht Club.
Board Ape Yacht Club, thanks.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, so where they had their own franchise and they took that Board Ape, and I think it was like a cheeseburger joint or something,
Yep.
and that was
yeah,
It drew people in because they were using that NFT, and people were like, "Man, this is Bored Ape. Okay, I'm going to check it out." And it was a good idea, but you're right though. Like, where do you draw the limitations of, what if it's a strip club? You don't want a strip club being associated with your Rifter,
it's
necessarily,
definitely a tough nut to crack. And but
Yeah.
we partnered with initially we partnered with Story Protocol, and they kind of like that was their whole thing, was like trying to figure out how to make the licensing somewhat streamlined so that we could just kind of like plug in, and we were going to be sort of one of their flagship things. But I don't know how they're doing it. It was just meetings and meetings, and then it was just it's like I said, the problem with crypto is you have like 300 meetings, but you get out of the meeting and then nobody does anything. So.
We actually have like a developer in here now. He's asking you a few questions. Spectrum, He's great. He helps us out. His first question was, do you go to GDC to promote?
I live in California, and I could go down to GDC, at least the one that's in San Francisco. But honestly, it just really hasn't been the ammunition needed to really get going with it. So the answer is kind of like no.
Not yet. Yeah.
Are you from the Bay Area?
I mean, promotion and marketing. I mean, that's probably, like I said, looking backwards, it's kind of like maybe a sad state of affairs, but probably all things being equal, some projects that spend the entire budget just on marketing do better than ones that try to do something quality or have this kind of like idea or vision for where they want to go. It turns out it's just whoever has the loudest megaphone and and spending the money just going and talking at conferences and whatnot. But problem is we were just the initial guys that are in this project were just like heavily loaded with like people that like want to build stuff. So we probably didn't have the exact right people that were going to take.
You had all the creators assembled, but you also need marketers. You
do. You really do. You ignore that. I remember at work, somehow Arnold Schwarzenegger's biography came swinging through, and everybody was like reading that, and in the lunch break room, just funny, like skipping through it. But that dude's a smart dude. Like he made a shit ton of money in real estate before he ever became Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't know if you guys know that, but he was a self-made man before he made his first movie.
Wow.
And but he has a really kind of famous quote in there that like you can have the most creative, awesome thing in the world, but if nobody knows about it, then nobody knows about it.
Yeah.
So marketing, you really can't. You really do need to market.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, so true. Are you from the Bay Area by chance?
Yeah, just north of Sonoma or Napa.
Yeah, I'm from Palo Alto. So.
Oh, cool. Right on. Yep.
Yeah, familiar with the Bay Area.
Yeah. So GDC, it's right there, and at least the one for San Francisco is just kind of right there.
He also posted something that said, "Oh, what game engine are you using?"
Well, I mean, just we've been using Unreal just because everybody uses Unreal, and it's a good way to like hook things up. And then when you rig the models, you can rig them for Unreal, and so they just work with the mannequin that's the generic mannequin or the movement system that's within Unreal. So that's basically what we've been using, just Unreal. And then plus it just kind of gives you asset flip marketplace. So like you don't have to make a trash can from scratch. You can just go buy a trash can. I mean, like there's it's really, really streamlined for Unreal. I'm pontificating. Yes, we're using Unreal.
I find it very interesting that you're located in New Zealand, and one of the top two projects that we talk about is also located in New Zealand, which is Earth 2 and Vivi.
What is it?
Earth 2 and Vivi.
Oh, Earth 2, yeah. Well, it's psycho over here, guys. Like it's a country of only 5 million people, but they bat way above their average, dude. Like they're just smart cookies over here. And I think like being at the edge of the world, they've always had to be very innovative. I mean, we've got a quote unquote SpaceX that nobody even hears about. Like we're launching rockets all the time, and it came from, I don't know if you know, but New Zealand's super into the super yachting, the carbon fiber super fast yachts.
Okay.
Some dudes from that defected, and they're making carbon fiber rockets, and they're cheap and light. and they just launch them all, launching satellites all the time, and nobody ever hears about it. It's smart people down here.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
There's a game called POE. What's it stand for? I only know it as Poe.
Yeah, I think I've heard of it. Yeah.
It's huge. I mean, it's got huge mind share, and it's just some dudes out of Auckland, New Zealand. Like,
It's
there's
amazing.
something in the water here
Wow.
that when they just really put their mind to something.
A lot of
really-
blockchain related stuff.
Yeah. There's a brother and sister that opened an exchange here, and it's real interesting because it's the least shady exchange I've ever seen in my life, and it's just literally because I don't know if you guys know this, but New Zealand's the least corrupt country in the world. So
Wow.
they have an interesting social phenomena here where like they love fairness, they hate unfairness, they hate injustice,
Yeah.
and it just permeates like basically everything here. So it's quite cool. And that, like, if you have an ounce of morals, it's a pretty cool place too.
I might need to come check that out.
Yeah, I think there's probably a reason that people are like watching the world kind of fall apart. People with money, and they're trying to figure out.
Everyone's Didn't James Cameron flee to New Zealand too?
Yeah, dude. His
with his
dude,
super
his
yachts.
setup is amazing though, because he's right over the mountain. There's a mountain range called the Ramatukas. He's just over, and he flies his helicopter, and you see this helicopter come over, and it's James Cameron. And then about 15-20 minutes later, he comes from where his helicopter is over to work. But he's a cool dude because he didn't want to be one of these rich dudes that just like takes and takes and takes. And he bought some land over in an area called Wairapa, and he's got a farm that nothing in, nothing out. So it's self-sustaining. Now he had the money to set it up, but it's kind of cool, It's kind of cool that he came over and he built this kind of like area where he wasn't, it was like net zero, It's cool.
That is cool. I do a little something like that in my greenhouse. I have an aquaponics setup.
Yeah, cool.
Where I raise fish, and then it feeds the plants, and the plants get back to the fish.
That's beautiful.
Filters the water and all that. You still have to add a little bit of nutrients to the water because the fish food, they don't put enough nutrients into it to feed the plants as well.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of supplement a little bit, but I really like that.
It's the right idea,
Yeah, and we should be living as humans like that, where we're using self-sustaining systems, and we don't teach any of those things in school, in like public schools out here. You see a little bit of it in private schools where they're teaching hydroponics and learning how to grow different things.
Yeah, that's my sci-fi idea. It'd be really wild if like Detroit ends up becoming like the best place on the planet to live, because they just got so broken down that they were ready for any idea. So they start doing urban farming.
Yeah.
Like you can only eat 20 miles. You can only eat stuff within a 20-mile radius of you. So there's no refrigerated shipping or freezing things or any of that. And then they're right there in the Great Lakes. So as the water's running out, they've got a lot of water. It'd be really cool to see a place like that revive because they took up really, really good ideas like that.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm in Cleveland area, and I actually have a only like a little less than an acre of land. And when I bought it, I originally set it up for micro farming, so that I situated the perimeter of my house with or the backyard area with apple trees on both sides, and then I did raspberry bushes and blackberry bushes, and still the center of the yard. The kids still had plenty of room to play.
That's so rad.
Yeah, and the greenhouse was on the outskirts. The chickens were in the far right back.
Yep.
And then you had your big garden in the back area. So it was just kind of like I had to study that to learn that you could still have a suburban farm.
Yeah.
And just on a small level. And I think we kind of need to get back to that in society where people kind of have gotten off the rails where they think that like everything's owed to them. And they need to get their hands back in the dirt.
Yeah. I love hearing about like in Los Angeles, they've got those kind of like vertical farms in the neighborhoods when they can feed up almost like 30 families.
Yeah.
Like their neighbors just come over and buy from them. It's like amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And you know where it's coming from, It's like same thing with chickens. It's wild. Like, like realizing that, they produce an egg a day, it's pretty wild.
I have 16 of them. So
yeah,
I'm pumping out the eggs all day long. And people come to me.
Eggs are so good
they're like,
for you. That's cool.
They're like, hey man, you got any of those eggs? They're really good because they're free range. And I'm like, you can come get eggs, no problem. It became like the new gold standard for a little while there.
little
They were
trading,
like,
bartering.
they went up to like
Yeah.
$9 a dozen at the store. I'm like, what is
That's right.
going on?
Yeah.
It was crazy.
And the store, like the store bought ones, I mean, it's like a minefield going in there and trying to figure out which ones to buy that are good for the chickens or free range. I mean, anybody can write any words, and you got to look for the exact wording and all this kind of shit. So like the fact that like people could come to you and be like, know for a fact that there's not pumped full of antibiotics,
Yeah.
and they're not like these super chickens that
Yeah.
get forced to do their thing.
Yeah, the only thing I ever gave them was a little bit of colloidal silver in their water when they're babies, and that
Yeah.
kept it from them getting any diseases.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
great.
their bodies just became
Yeah.
naturally immune.
I used to sell colloidal silver. It's funny you said that.
Oh,
You know, I
really?
tell you what, man, my kids would get an earache. You drop one drop of colloidal silver in there, and that earache is gone.
That's
Like
amazing.
in like 20 minutes. It's really something. Even for
That's cool.
pink eye, you drop a drop of it in your eye, and man, that pink eye is gone.
Any
real
kind of
soon.
bacteria. Yeah.
It's
Thing just
amazing.
destroys.
Just wipes it out. That's cool.
Yeah. And it's natural. You
Yeah,
know,
and
there's
it's
so many
easy to
natural-
make. It's easy to make. I had a machine that did it on a super nano level, and that's the important thing to do with that is to get it as small as possible,
Yep.
and to get that silver ions, pulled away from the base silver that you have in the water, and yeah, it was cool. Loved it.
That is cool.
So Zombie asked me before we started, he was like, how long do we have Larry for? And I'm like, I don't really know. He didn't really say.
Yeah.
So sometimes
I'm just here for the duration. I've done so, I've just been so missing in action in the Discord channel just because of I've had to go back to doing work, and unfortunately in my business, like it is quite a serious thing. It's like you really, if you kind of like say you're going to do something, you got to do it. And I got ended up with like a huge workload. So
I get it.
but I'm good for today for sure. I made sure that I had the time to sit here and answer and talk about anything.
We appreciate it.
Can you give us any spoilers for anything that you would like to do in the future that people might not know about?
Like I said, I mean, like the main thing to me was just like I just want to be able to do the different eons. It's like I was kind of hoping that would like we'd market time it to when some money, some investment, this and that would kind of like come in. And then basically we could like blow people's mind that first time that they're sort of in a cyberpunk world, and then they get hit by they go through the rift, and then boom, they're in a surprise, like I said, I gave away the surprise. I wanted it to be a zombie apocalypse, but like that to me was going to be like sort of the cool thing was like how much of you could you keep a lid on that, and then bam, people log in and they're like, what the fuck happened? I'm waking up with on a bedroll,
Yeah, and you could do your own little comic series on that.
Based off of the rift.
Yeah, just on the rift in itself.
Yeah. And that's been my thing is I wanted to do basically, since Tom and Justin are the comics department, but I'm itching to do that type of stuff. I wanted to do a thing like Tales from the City or Tales from Neo Tokyo kind of thing, or stories, Neo Tokyo stories. And it would be like, I was kind of hoping that like initially we did a really fun little like kind of fan fiction contest thing, and there was like some really nicely written stuff by a few people. I remember Boris Chandler, super. These guys wrote really cool stories, and I initially that was sort of my hope was like it'd be super cool that if I could get to a point where I'm like sort of illustrating with the community, but like just taking if somebody puts in the effort to write a really good story and it gets upvoted in that way, that it really is a nice thing, then bam, you just like bust it out as a little mini comic.
Awesome.
Do you have your own rifter? Like, do you have one that you own and that's like your baby and you've kind of,
No, because I've got the actual original 3D file and I can make anything I want. So I make rifters. They're just super fun. But that was the thing was like when you kind of have the master file, you don't have to get the random stuff spit out. So like if you'd been in Discord way back in the day, I used to like kind of show like that kind of stuff. Like I'd just put a rifter together and be like, check out this guy. He looks like Snake
That's cool.
from Metal Gear Solid, or like things like that. But
So
yeah, the
you
one
don't,
that I primarily that I like is even in my like PFP
yeah.
is basically that character. It's kind of like how like sometimes cats get like a gray eye, one gray eye.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Cloudy.
Like
Yeah.
like cataract-y type thing. So I've got one
Yeah.
that's like an old. I give it. There's no mustaches in the collection, but I gave mine kind of like the old Snake from Metal Gear Solid 5 mustache,
Nice.
and yeah, and he has like night vision goggles and stuff like that. So that's usually the one that I run with, or that I kind of like promote around with myself. But he's not actually part of the 5,000
So
collection.
will there
The thing
be
is
more?
like we had something like 70,000, or I don't know. It's just this generative thing. And then we knew there would be mistakes. So we
Yeah.
actually went through and handpicked out the best 5,000 out of this huge collection.
Wow.
And
Nice.
we had kind of a culling, because sometimes you get absolute duds. You just get one with some like just pants and a t-shirt, and that's it. No weapon, no headgear, no tattoos, no nothing. And we wanted to make sure that there was none kind of like that.
Right.
But I had this idea that I really, really wanted to go with, where as we got the games going, that the way that you can get people to come in for free is you give them a rifter, but it's not one of the rifters. So they can
Mhm.
come in and play like free to play, but you're playing in there with people that are the actual player characters.
Mhm.
And then basically I wanted to like kind of create this kind of like generic looking line of rifters that are almost like robots, or like robot servant type things, like a robot
Yes.
class.
Mhm.
That it's like kind of like they're all just in a jumpsuit, and the jumpsuit colors kind of like change, but they're just in this generic kind of like jumpsuit. And then they're kind of like this different kind of like class inside the Neo Tokyo kind of universe. And
Mhm.
yeah, so that was also, I thought that was going to be kind of fun. So like, if you're kind of in there and you see somebody in one of these jumpsuits, you know that they're sort of a free to play player.
They're a noob.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you
But we
think
had
you'll
also,
be
man, it
releasing
was
more?
blue sky back in the day. We had all kinds of amazing ideas, like like initially the kind of initial strip of like neo punk, or sorry, cyberpunk kind of strip that we kind of showed a little bit in our wave shooter. The idea was that there'd be kind of like these alleys that are like kind of like blocked off, and then basically whales could come in and buy that alley, and then it just opened up like 16 shops along that thing, and then they could rent
Yeah.
those out to people that wanted to come in and build t-shirts or guns or all this kind of stuff. And so
Well,
it was kind
that's
of
what
like
I
that
want to
idea
do.
that you
Yeah.
see sometimes in these other metaverses, but it was going to be real fun, because
Mhm.
you'd go into the lobby and it's just this cyberpunk area that you always know, and then all of a sudden you look over and there's this one street that was always either blocked off, and now it's just opened up, and then down there you kind of like, I love in Star Citizen, the game Star Citizen is talk about a Ponzi scheme, but
Mhm.
they do some really interesting things where they're trying to kind of make an economy where, like, if you're like a forklift driver on some asteroid mining facility, then that's what you do,
Mhm.
and like dudes come and fly their ships in, and then there's a dude there with a forklift, and that's how he makes his money. He unloads the ships. And I
Right.
thought that kind of thing would be really, really cool too for us, like,
So we're really big into Earth 2
mm,
because of the land aspect. They have an incredible eco sim in place. When the
Huge.
company first came out, everyone was like, "It's a scam," and we're like, "No,
yeah,
it's a really good idea. It's a really good idea if he goes through with it." you know. But at first, the concept was just laying the groundwork of, yeah, this is where we want to go, and then now they're really going that direction.
yeah,
Um, but I originally got into Earth 2 because I love owning the land. Like you said, I want to own a street in EON Rift
yeah,
where I own the whole block, um, because I like cash flow and I like income that flows in, passive income all the time. Um, and because I have real estate in the real world, I obviously want real estate in the digital world.
yeah,
Um, and it's not that I really want to play the games myself. I just want to be able to own them and just have more assets available, right? Although
yeah,
the wave shooter did look pretty cool. Um, but in Earth 2, you can build your own cities and do anything you want. I think I might have to build one that's an ode to Eon Rift, and
nice,
Ooh, a
and
new island.
I
yeah,
might have to do it.
Oh
Yeah,
snap.
yeah. I have an Omi island already for
Yeah.
all the BV fam in Earth 2, and I think I might have to do one for EON Rift,
Yeah.
which would be really cool. Draw some attention.
Wow.
I can also build my own advertisements to draw people to EON Rift that are in Earth
Nice.
2.
Over near New Zealand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. That'd be the way to do it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah. That Earth 2 thing's such a cool thing because it's like using sort of existing APIs, just plugging into it. It's just so
Mhm.
smart.
Yeah. And even though it's going to take a while, it's going to take years to
Yeah.
really build that out.
Yeah.
I think a lot of guys got excited with the aspect of digital land and ownership, but they didn't realize how long it was going to take to build these worlds and the IP that they want. And a lot of people get kind of disenfranchised, and we've seen it in Eon Rift where people were just selling things for nothing. And I came in and I said, "You want to sell? Okay, great. I'll buy what you have for nothing, no problem." Because I understand that it's not that it doesn't have value, it's just that it doesn't have as much value yet.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to wait for that value because I love the storyline, I love the IP. I would love to see Eon Rift have land ownership. I'd be ecstatic about that. So if you guys could implement that in the future, that'd be really cool.
Like we've talked, like I said, we've talked every idea under the sun. There's no shortage of ideas. It's just
Yeah.
implementations. The rough
It's just
thing.
implementing, right?
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
implementing it. Yeah.
Awesome. So a lot of these guys are from Earth 2, and that's why they keep mentioning it because they're like, "What does he think about this? What does he think about that?" And a few of them, like Randy, Randy that posted it, he said, "Great show."
Yeah.
He got us into Earth 2 initially, and then into VV as well. So a lot of
Yeah.
these people all have VV and Earth 2, and they're kind of intermingled. And a lot of these guys, we're introducing them to new IP, like yours and others too, because we want these communities to come together and really just have fun with what they have.
Yeah.
And I've been coming in the Eon Rift Discord channel and trying to promote that, like saying, like, well, how can we have fun with what we have right now?
Yeah.
So I was talking with Turbo Dragon, and he wanted us to start doing a show with him.
Yeah.
And I think we are gonna have him on the show.
That's great.
Doing a run around in Nifty Island.
Dude, he's put in so much effort. It's amazing. Like, I
Yeah.
just wish we had like 20 more like him.
Yeah, and Zombie hasn't got a chance to check out Nifty Island, and neither have I actually watching a run through. But I think it would be cool for a lot of the community to see that.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
for
we'll see.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nifty's nice because it's kind of like, the potential there to be like a quote unquote the Fortnite. I mean, that's saying a lot. I mean, nobody's going to be Fortnite, but that's sort of the idea. It's like,
Yeah.
easy plug and play.
Mhm.
It's just like I said, it's just been rough because I don't know how your crypto season this 4 years has gone, but like it's just nothing's materialized. Like it's all the same users that were left over from 2021, and it really, other than maybe Saul, you haven't really seen any kind of like new fresh blood kind of coming in.
Not
It just
yet.
hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, not yet. My bags are down, but I continue to dollar cost average,
Yep.
and I'll just keep doing that.
Yep.
Because
Yeah.
the projects I'm in are actually real projects.
Yeah.
That's the other thing is I'm willing to wait as long as they're real. Unlike just buying a meme token that
Right.
doesn't really have any utility value of any kind. Yeah, you're going to get the pumponomics, right, at some point, but you're not going to get the ecosystem or the love of the IP, the storylines, and the community even is going to be gone by the time it pumps and dumps.
Yeah.
And so with Eon Rift, what you guys are experiencing, every other platform is experiencing the exact same thing.
Oh yeah.
With people, getting discouraged because of things not going on the right timing.
Yeah. I mean, I think in some ways I kind of called it a long time ago, like, because Chris and I lived through .com 1. So we were in San Francisco during .com, and And it wasn't, everybody that crashed and burned in 99, 2000, the people that kind of stayed in the pocket and learned from that, they all became your Amazons and your eBays and your Facebook, like Web 2.0 came out of the flames of Web 1.0.
Right.
And the lessons kind of like learned. And I kind of think that maybe that's kind of like what might occur here. You're going to have this huge bubble initially with blockchain, but coming out of that, when it does like absolutely burst and crash and burn, then out of that, then you'll get the people that kind of like stay in the pocket, take the lessons that are learned and build for maturity and build an industry. Because like I will say that like a lot of the meetings that we've had over the last 2-3 years, like kind of sussing out people to work with in terms of co-conspirator, co-companies or whatever to work with, like-minded individuals and other protocols. That's kind of like the ones that we've been kind of attracted to, is the ones that kind of like are seeing it like in the long term.
Yeah.
Like what does blockchain have to offer? What's the kind of like utility going forward? So it's not just get rich quick scheme.
Right.
Right.
But I know it's tough, man. It is tough. It's like we're in late stage capitalism, and everybody's trying to figure out. They missed out on Apple stock, and they're trying to figure out how they're going to fucking live when they're 70 years old, and everybody's looking at crypto as the the savior. I think in some ways it can get there, but it's not as
Well, I think that's why that phygital element is important in that. Would you agree, Zombie? Yeah. That bridge needs to be there. As you can see back here, I love my artwork. I love my comics. I didn't love any of that stuff, Larry, before I got into some of these platforms. I'm just learning. Okay. I'm learning that I love the stuff.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. And
you should go to you want to know the convention to go to is the Chicago Comic-Con. That's the old school proper Comic-Con. Like the Comic-Con in San Diego has gotten really corrupted by the film industry. They might as well call it Film Comic-Con or Film.
Oh, really?
FilmCon.
FilmCon. Yeah. Because it's just all the big studios come in there and take up all the oxygen in the room. But Chicago's Comic-Con is they still have a room dedicated just for the artists and their tables. Yeah. And it's all about comics there. It's amazing.
Yeah. And I love that. We're going to have, there's another smaller comic, kind of like you guys. They're called 24/7 comics, I think. Yeah. 24/7 comics. Carl Cho, he's going to be coming on the show at some point. Cool. And they're like very similar and just branching out, and they're releasing physicals and digitals, and it's just so important to have that bridge.
It is. I mean, if you look at Pudgy Penguin, I think that they were some smart friggin' dudes. Like, they just instantly trying to get into Target and Walmart and make that connection to the real world,
Yeah.
And I think it's just paid dividends in terms of their initial, breakout.
Yeah, we have a buddy.
Because, there's at the end of the day, I think we're human creatures, and we actually like real things.
Yeah, I'll have to check out the Chicago one.
New York, Chicago. I highly recommend Chicago Comic-Con. It was especially after having been to the San Diego Comic-Con for a lot, 5, 6 years, 7 years, longer than that now. Yeah. It just gets to be like I don't know. It's cool, but it's really more celebrity driven and I don't know, TV show and movie, and the latest thing HBO is coming out with, or Marvel, versus Chicago Comic-Con is like, I think the OG, go back to, guys grinding it out, drawing comics,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's awesome. Now, do you guys think that you'll ever start going into the cons in the future?
Oh yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, that's definitely in our heart. We just not, we just don't have the money to, and we just
gotta have a booth and all that.
I mean, Tom already goes. He has to go to Comic-Con because Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and he's supposed to be wearing his EON RIFT T-shirt and talking about EON RIFT.
Yes. So I wanted to meet him while I was there. I was just in New York City, and I got so overwhelmed that I almost it was too much, and I didn't want to talk to anybody. I was like, what is going on? There was just it felt like 100,000 people were scrunched into me.
Yeah, New York and San Diego are like that. They're just super overwhelming, especially if
Yes,
yeah,
there
it's
we
just
go.
too overwhelming. Whereas, like I said, I think you'd really dig the Chicago Comic Con because then it's way more chill and it's more comic focused and like it's more quality. Because probably what you experienced in New York was just a lack of quality connection with people.
Yeah, it was absolutely, and it was almost like I just wanted to get out of everyone's way, and I didn't want to
Yeah,
get pickpocketed.
yeah,
That's all I could think about. I mean, it was. It
Girl.
was. Yeah. I just pure pressured Spectrum into buying 2 Eon Rifts. He said.
Nice.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
There you go.
I will let everyone know that they should at least buy 1 Eon Rift. Not financial advice, but at some point, I would like to offer some kind of utility on the show.
Yeah,
So
I
Yeah,
mean,
for sure.
yeah, I mean that's the dream and the original vision. But just please, people, like buy one that you like. You know what I mean?
one that
Like,
you
and I
like.
think that's the other thing. It's just like look at and see if you connect with the look of the character. Don't
Yeah.
just buy. You know?
Yeah, we're gonna do some kind of giveaways with them. Maybe
Yeah,
we'll see. We're still trying to pan it out, but um,
yeah. We're working with Turbo with that as well. Some
mhm.
giveaways and some of his island stuff, and I've been in the background like getting some assets ready.
Yeah. We started. We ended up getting a ton of artwork from Park West Gallery, um, and we started giving away a lot of those on the show. It's tough to get a feel for a lot of our audience because some of them like art,
Yeah,
some are just into crypto, some are just into NFTs, and some are into digital land. So it's like sometimes when we do a giveaway, there's only a few people that are like, "Oh, well, I'm not really into artwork,
I feel you.
Right.
I'm
Yeah,
not
I
really
feel
into
you.
this,"
Yeah.
So we're just trying to
Yeah.
gauge all that. So what you
It's
saying?
just the
Don't
way
be
of the
like,
world, you know.
Mhm.
It's like attention just so divided across so many things, you know. Like you can
Yeah.
remember, like when something like Battlefield came out and everybody was playing that, or like or Halo or whatever. But like those days are gone now. It's like everybody's just divided across so many things now.
Rival had a little good run and then it just
Yeah,
kind of fell off there. I was excited about that.
Kenobi wants us
yeah.
to start over. He says, "What's Eon Rift?" You're gonna have to start over. Just go backwards, Kenobi.
Yeah,
Yeah, just watch
exactly.
the show over.
Click on the start of the stream.
That's amazing. Yeah. So what are
But yeah, Marvel
Sparky?
Rivals was really interesting because it was a nice, it was somebody really smartly kind of like went to people that like, I think it was either Korea or China. I can't remember who the developers were, but Marvel went to them and said, you guys are really in the spirit of what games used to be, just like fun. So,
Mhm.
Yeah.
like you said, these things have a certain shelf life, but I think Marvel Rivals was a good example of kind of getting out of the weird Western game developer mindset, which got super weird for a second, where it was almost like bad to have fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
it was bad for a game to like actually have fun characters or something. So that was a really smart decision on their part to go to a developer that didn't have any of that baggage. Just were like, yeah, we want to make a game.
Yeah. And I grabbed the comics, I
Yep.
purchased a lot of the first low mint rival comic that Vivi put out, that Marvel put out. So yeah, hold on to that one for a while.
Yeah.
Mint number
Yeah.
11. I was like,
Well, I mean, that's literally the gold standard is like League of Legends and then Arcane.
Mhm.
Because or like Cyberpunk and then Cyberpunk Edge Runners on Netflix. It's like it's crazy the amount of people come in after they see either a movie or a television series, you know? And I
Mhm.
Mhm.
think like League of Legends didn't need any help. I mean, like literally it's like 2% of internet traffic, but when they put out Arcane, use that money to flip it around and make the Arcane TV show. I mean, if people already love those characters in the game, they doubled down on loving them after Arcane came out.
Eon Rift number 2019 and
Nice.
991. Okay. Those are some good numbers. Actually,
Yeah.
I didn't think about it. Ben from Korea, who's another guy who's been buying Rifters, he was like, I got the 1, 2, 3, 4 the other day. And I'm like, oh, why didn't I think about that? That was such a good mint. Because in
Yeah.
VV, people are mint hunters. So they go for
Oh,
Yeah.
like,
okay.
they start like, when did Eon Rift come out? What date?
It was So it was 2023. I don't know. I have to look it up myself.
Yeah.
The whole thing was a blur.
So that mint number is going to be important. That's going to be an important one to hold. 2023 or something.
Oh yeah, clever jerk. If he
Yup.
was in this project, he grabbed that. for
Oh
sure.
yeah, people are they're really wild about it.
And they buy it for big money too.
Yeah,
Like we just had a gold and silver VV logo get purchased from Randy Chavez for 20,000, I believe.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, because it's mint number 41, the first public available mint of just a VV logo, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of utility that comes with it. There's parties that come along with it, and there's a community that's involved. And I think that shows the importance of that kind of thought process where, like, okay, we've created something, but why does somebody want to own it, right? And it sounds like you guys have definitely hit that mark. Like you have lots of ways to interact with the project, and now we're in this holding area where we're like, okay, we want to do these things, but we got to push out right through the bear market, kind of, at least for NFTs.
Yeah, and it's at a low enough level too, to now where people can just buy them and have fun with them, and I think that's important too, because the people that get in now are going to see it differently than the people that paid whatever the mint was. It was $75 or $60, because I think it was Raccoon or you were telling me the whole time as I was buying them, you're like, oh man, you got them that cheap? Like, man, now is the time to get in, because people paid so much more when it was minted. But now, I mean, it's hard to not see the value in it because it's so low, and you saw where it was,
Yeah. And kind of in their defense, though, it's like anything. I mean, coming off the back of that crazy run in 21, 22, of when people are flipping things for jillions of dollars, it just looked like, just buy any NFT and you're kind of going to make money. And
I bought a Elsa golden moment for, I think, $2,000, and it's now worth $40 today. You know what I mean? And so there was a lot of them I did like that, but you just didn't know, but I'm not going to sell it because it's Elsa, and someday I probably will be able to sell it for $2,000 or more.
Oh heck yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty big IP. I think I'm not a huge fan, but I bought it because it was Elsa.
Part of Golden Moments with Disney IP, their first release. Yeah,
it was a no-brainer for me, right?
Yeah.
Have you heard of Infinity Rising? Have you heard of that?
Yeah. Why have I heard that? What is it? I have.
Originally, it was called Cornucopias.
Okay.
And now they did a rebranding and is now called Infinity Rising.
Okay. Yeah.
And they have a crypto coin associated with it called Kopi. And I think it's going to be, somebody was saying it's going to be turned into Rise, would be the new acronym for it.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
For their metaverse.
That's a great acronym.
I know. And it's been released on the Cardano blockchain.
Okay. Right on.
Yeah. So it's a game that's built on it.
Charles Hodgkinson.
Yep.
I love that dude. I know that, say what you want about Cardano, but like that dude's got his heads firmly.
Yeah.
I love that dude.
Right now, I think Cardano is one of my biggest bags.
Yeah.
Because I like Charles.
Yeah, he's amazing, dude.
I saw him. I was
true amazing human being.
Yeah, and he's really for the people and not just for making money. And that's what's important, right?
Yeah.
Loved his creation and kept with it.
Yep.
We saw that EON Rift, looks like Spectrum said possibly May 2023.
Yeah, it sounds about right. For me, the reason it's hazy is because, it started in like 2022 and just never stopped for me. Like a lot of people might think like, oh, the launch was like the big thing. And it's like, I was staying up till 4 a.m. for like years before that. So, just all pushed in. And then it just, even though we launched, it just never stopped. It was just like, endless late nights. So all the days kind of like, blend together. I mean, like I said, armchair quarterbacking, know what I know now. Like I don't even know if I would have launched yet. But
Mhm.
having said that, it's cool that it's out there in the world. I do love them. Like I said, I just have this in my head, the anime or the, animated feature that's there. It's just, it looks so juicy in my head and I want it to come to life, but it's taking a
Well, it's
while.
kind of like having a kid, right?
Yeah.
We always think back to ourselves, when is it a good time to have a kid? Is it ever really a good time to have a kid? You know, because of all the dangers in the world, am I making enough money? Um, can I support this child for the long term? Will I lose my job at some point? And I think you guys were smart into jumping into what you love. It's just you just got to wait for the right moment to let that pan out. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's never
It's,
really a solid time.
it's like basically being adaptable, but,
Hmm.
you just waiting for that moment. Like I said, like the whole thing was kind of predicated on a bigger vision and a bigger
Yeah.
thesis about the marriage between a gigantic, like creating an IP and then like having it go huge and on blockchain with smart contracts and figuring out ways for people to participate in such a way so that they're on the ground floor of the profit sharing and all that kind of stuff. And
Right.
like I said, it's just been you know taking meeting after meeting after meeting for like investment, and it's just not, we've had so many opportunities just take the money and start going, but these people are scumbags. I'm telling you, man, they would have sold you out like the,
Oh yeah.
like what they were asking for was so obvious they're going to dump on the holders that like we were like, nah, we're not doing that.
Hmm. Yeah.
we
So it's been trying to find that quality level of investment that we found in the real world,
Mhm.
like in all the, various things that we've done in the real world where it's actual, somewhat honest due diligence type of investors that kind of come in. And, but the class of ones that kind of come at you and from a kind of a crypto kind of thing or trying to get money, then they're just waiting for their Bitcoin to like get to a certain point. Then they're going to rotate like it's a, it's a minefield. It's a minefield out there. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Zombie, you got any more questions about Eon Rift that you're wondering about?
um yeah, okay, kind of curious, right? Because you're talking about the project and where it's at and where the vision is. If you guys had, you think, like, let's say 20 million, right? Investor, perfect investor, wants to support the project and its community. Where do you see that going, and how would you use it?
I think initially we'd run right in behind Tom. He's like our biggest asset. Like what he's done with Last Ronin. Like he's at these Comic Cons, and then people are like, "What's your next project? What's your next project?" Blah blah blah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So to me, it would just be like, I kind of always use the example of, like, this is showing how old I am, but like prior to Star Wars coming on screen, nobody knew what Star Wars was, right? Then you walk in and for 2 hours, you kind of like watch Star Wars, and then you just come out and you're either bought in or you didn't, but you get it. You get what you're looking at, right?
Right.
And then they're kind of like off and running. I think it would have to be something like that, like just really come out of the gate, kind of like hard and heavy with the IP itself, really, really tried it, whether it be um, a comic that then we shop around and figure out somebody else to finance it into a television show that then goes on to Netflix or, take your pick on the streaming networks. But it'd be
Mhm.
something like that to really just try to get the ideas far and wide. And then, yeah, and then just kind of like follow in behind that with like basically a bunch of SKUs that work.
Gotcha. So
Yeah.
the media, getting it out
Yeah,
and
well, I mean, basically, the where money. I don't know how you've run businesses, so I don't have to tell you this, but like money, where most money goes to is paying humans. Humans to do something, and that's basically what If we got 20 million, it's basically just getting the team a final, hiring up and getting everybody going. That would be the main thing.
right.
Like
And
right
you'll
now,
be
it's just been reduced down to sort of a labor of love. Just the people that are
Yeah.
doing it because they love it. But at the end of the day, you've got to actually, there's people that need to be brought in and they need to be paid to do, what they're doing. But
Mhm.
to me, it would be trying to kind of like come out the gate with some kind of all-encompassing either comic or short animated series or a short film or something that just people can watch it and then just get it and then just be like, okay, I don't know exactly what I'm looking at, but I love it. I want to learn more. That's like, I
Right.
think the main thing.
That's how I felt about when I read that comic.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
was like, man, it really gripped
Well,
me. It was
we'd be
only
sitting
10
in a way
pages.
different place if we could have followed up with the 4 comics, right? If you had one and then bam, the second one, and then bam, the third one, and bam, the fourth one, you'd be kind of like off and running, but it just didn't work out that way.
I mean, if it hit tomorrow, I'm still buying it. If it hits 2 years from now, I'm still buying it because I need the rest of the story, you know.
Yeah.
But it was because it gripped me like that, and I was like, wow, this is really interesting. The concept was interesting. You know, it played with your, it kind of like touched you from like spiritual, you know, a spirituality kind of mindset. Like how can people, you know, continue to come back? It really played with your mind a bit. You know, where is this
Yeah.
going to go? How is this possible?
Yeah, it's going to be really fun. Like
Yeah,
you know, like some of the funnest work sessions we've had has been, you know, brainstorming around that storyline and like kind of where
yeah.
it goes and how it interweaves into the different riffs. And it is, I mean, yeah, it literally physically hurts my heart thinking that it's not being not produced and out already.
I've heard a saying. It's there's a time and season for everything.
Yeah. Yep.
In due time, right?
Yep. In due time. Yep.
Cool. Is everybody good?
Yeah, you wanna wrap it up?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good note to leave it on. I mean, you know, I think there definitely would be a time for this project for sure to take flight again and to really do what you guys want and put out the vision that you guys have created. It's not right now. We all know that, but it's not because the project isn't good enough or it's not creative enough or doesn't have vision. It's just the timing, right, that we're in. So I'm definitely excited to continue to watch the project, get the rifters that you'd want, and just wait and be patient. You know, everything doesn't have to be now, right?
Yeah, and I'm more than happy to come back on anytime if you guys ever just missing a guest and you're just like, damn, we just need somebody, just hit me up, man.
Oh,
I
yeah.
need your rifter, your little character, so I can make a good
Okay.
thumbnail with it. So
All right, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
I'll send that to you after this.
for sure,
Yeah.
man. All right,
Awesome.
great
Okay.
talking to you.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Appreciate
All
it.
right, thanks, guys. I really appreciate the time. I
And
really
then,
do.
and then you want to talk for a few minutes after? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
See you, everybody.